The right is eating itself alive. I love covering this shit because watching the right wing fight amongst themselves is just so entertaining because you don't have to pick a side, you know? You're like, as long as one of them loses, that's a fucking right-winger losing. Hell yeah. Senator Ted Cruz facing backlash and apologizing to Tucker Carlson live for the heinous, horrific, unforgivable sin. That's right, not even Jesus died for this one. Ted Cruz said that January 6th was a, quote, violent terrorist act. What? You mean you described something that happened accurately? Of course, right-wingers being consistent liars. I'm not surprised that this would, in fact, anger them. Let's go ahead and find out what Tucker Carlson had to say on the matter.
Because he's one of the smartest and most articulate people in the Congress, and he's conservative.
Oh boy, starts off with a little bit of dick stroking. Seems like you're about to really tear into the guy then.
He referred publicly to what happened on January 6th as, quote, a violent terror attack. Here it is.
Oh no.
We are approaching a solemn anniversary this week, and it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, where we saw the men and women of law enforcement demonstrate incredible courage, incredible bravery.
Oh my God. How could he say something literally accurately? He's actually just describing what happened. Does it not fall in line with the definition of a domestic terrorist attack? Let's see. Let's actually get technical for a second. No January 6 protesters have been charged with terrorism? Okay, so maybe this was like a technically, factually incorrect statement? The violence and destruction, property of the U.S. Capitol showed a blatant and appalling disregard for our institutions. Violent extremists is how the FBI called them. It is not possible to examine the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol without an understanding of the overall terrorism threat picture leading up to that. So it looks like they're considering this terrorism. The FBI. Define terrorism.
Here's the definition of terrorism. The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims.
Huh. It seems like Ted Cruz was correct in this statement, more or less. So, okay. This is probably even more of a reason why Tucker Carlson is really mad.
Lives to defend the men and women who serve in this Capitol.
Sorry, one more thing, just really quick. Can we also just appreciate the fact that Tucker Carlson is seething over here that Ted Cruz said something that about it being a violent terrorist attack or whatever, but he was saying that in the context of praising law enforcement. So, I don't know. It just seems really, really, this is like the most phony outrage.
Senator Cruz was game enough to come on tonight. We appreciate that. He joins us now. Senator, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh,
so I guess I mean, there are a lot of dumb people in the Congress. You're not one of them. I think you're smarter than I am. And you never use words carelessly. And yet you called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. You told that lie on purpose.
All right, hold on, because he's... Damn, Tucker Carlson just starts out right away with the instant grilling. I need to take notes from that guy. He doesn't waste time. He's not asking how the weather is. He's like, hey, Ted Cruz, how you doing? So let's get to it. I usually respect you, but this time you sounded like a fucking moron. Sorry, it would be a bleep, bleep, beep, moron. No, even though domestic terrorism is defined under the USA Patriot Act, there is no specific federal crime covering acts of domestic terrorism. A person can only be charged with domestic terrorism if they are connected to a designated terror group, and the U.S. doesn't designate domestic groups. So this is very specific and very technical right now, but this sounds like it's talking about whether or not you can put a federal charge forward on domestic terrorism, not whether or not it actually falls under the general definition of domestic terrorism. I would have to see some evidence from Tucker Carlson. He has a very bad habit of asserting things that are untrue. What's the definition for that again? I think it's called, that's right, lying. He does that a lot. And when you actually go and start digging into this, turns out, oh, wait, by the definition, I mean, they're more or less, they were acting like domestic terrorists. Yeah, that's not an entirely, like, incorrect statement. Now, if you want to get into, like, what would a federal charge look like, then fine, you can be overly pretentious. But what Ted Cruz was saying, broadly speaking, seems to be correct.
Carelessly. And yet you called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. You told that lie on purpose, and I'm wondering why you did.
Well,
so what's Ted Cruz going to say? Are you going to be Ted Chad or Ted CUCK? Let's find out.
Tucker, thank you for having me on. When you aired your episode last night, I sent you a text shortly thereafter and said, listen, I'd like to go on because the way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that. Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word, you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally.
Holy shit.
I just don't.
So, Tucker, as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to misunderstand what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant to say. So
Ted Cruz doing the smart political move there, right, which is ignoring everything Tucker said and instead just going back to getting his position out, what he meant to say. So let's go back again, because holy shit, dude. Tucker Carlson jumped down his throat. He was like, I would like to formally issue my apology that, yes, what was that, Agent? Right, that conservatives are good, upstanding patriots, and only some of them are terrorists, you see? And then, no. I think Tucker Carlson's been, it's like the cop that was watching Vosh the other day. I think that fucking Tucker Carlson's been watching Destiny. No.
I just don't. You take words as seriously as any.
And it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that.
No.
I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word, you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally. I just don't.
So, Tucker, as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to misunderstand what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant to say. What I was referring to are the limited number of people who engaged in violent attacks against police officers. Now, I think you and I both agree that if you assault a police officer, you should go to jail.
Getting the optics win right there. He's pulling it back. Look, you're in Law and Order, right? See, guys, I'm still cool. I'm still hip. I'm still a good contender.
That's who I was talking about. And the reason the phrasing was sloppy is I have talked dozens, if not hundreds of times. I've drawn a distinction. I wasn't saying that the thousands of peaceful protesters supporting Donald Trump are somehow terrorists. I wasn't saying the millions of patriots across the country supporting President Trump are terrorists. And that's what a lot of people have misunderstood that comment.
Wait a second, but hold on. What you just said doesn't make sense. So if somebody assaults a cop, he should be charged and go to jail. I couldn't agree more. We've said that for years. But that person's still not a terrorist. How many people have been charged with terrorism on January 6th?
So that is where he's getting that. See, Tucker Carlson's really clever there because he brings up the charges rather than the actual definition. And he's smart because he knows there have been no charges. That is a strong point for Tucker in a way, but at the same time, doesn't really make sense. In order to be federally charged, you would need to be hyper-specific with what it would mean to be a domestic terrorist. If you're not connected to an actual group, then you can't be charged. This is charges, whereas actually acting as domestic terrorists, yeah, absolutely. Tucker Carlson being very bad faith right now.
Like, why'd you use that word? You're playing into the other side's characterization that, as Joe Kent just explained, allows them to define an entire population as foreign combatants. And you know that. So why'd you do it?
So, Tucker, let me answer you.
I'm not actually entirely familiar with what Tucker Carlson just said, but I would be willing to bet my left testicle that it's partially false, at least.
Directly. The reason I use that word, for a decade, I have referred to people who violently assault police officers as terrorists. I've done so over and over and over again. If you look at all the assaults we've seen across the country, I've called that terrorism over and over again. That being said, Tucker, I agree with you. It was a mistake to say that yesterday, and the reason is what you just said, which is we've now had a year of Democrats in the media twisting words and trying to say that all of us are terrorists, trying to say you're a terrorist, I'm a terrorist. And so, look, I don't like people who assault cops. And
trying to get back on,
stand up and defend.
Trying to get back on the optics. See, keeps going back to it. Look, guys, I don't like people that assault cops. I'm the one that takes the moral high position here by calling people that do terrorists. That's all I was getting at. Not all conservatives. You guys are nice. It's like at the end of Lion King where Scar is trying to like talk down the hungry hyenas surrounding him as they realize he's betrayed them.
And cops.
It's literally...
And the reason I use that word is that's the word I've always used for people that violently attack cops. But in this context, I get why people were angry, because we've had a year of the corrupt corporate media and Democrats claiming anyone who objected to the election fraud. And by the way, remember what was happening during those protests?
Can I just ask, hold on, you work in the... I guess I just don't believe you. And I mean that with respect.
Yikes.
Because I have such respect for your acuity and your precision. And I've seen it on display. I've covered you as a reporter. I know how you speak. And you have sat there for a year and watched people use language to distort the events of that day.
So remember, Tucker Carlson, he is very much accusing the other side of doing exactly what he's engaging in consistently. So Pepperidge Farm remembers when Tucker Carlson dropped his little documentary where it was based on nothing but like anecdotes and speculation. And he alleged that the FBI was secretly involved in the January 6th attack. So if anyone here is trying to distort the truth and distort what happens, it's Tucker Carlson. If I remember correctly, it was the Democrats that wanted the bipartisan panel to conduct an investigation. It was Tucker Carlson that was interested in spreading nothing but lies based on, again, nothing but lies, and maybe a big fat paycheck from one of his billionaire donors.
Intentionally. Insurrection.
Actually, you know what? Let's be fair. It may have just been Murdoch that told him to do it. Since, after all, Tucker Carlson has said he's just Murdoch's bitch. He's got to do whatever he's got to do. Tucker Carlson is himself a slave to the elites. Remember that.
And you have sat there for a year and watched people use language to distort the events of that day. Intentionally. Insurrection. Coup.
Of course it
terrorism.
Was an insurrection.
Wait, hold on. So I think that under the technical definition, I don't think it would constitute a coup. And I'm not sure if it would constitute an insurrection either. Either way, Tucker Carlson is again meshing in the word terrorism, which broadly speaking could very easily be applied to this situation, and he's lumping it in to other claims that are far more disputed on a technical level. So again, I don't know if he's doing this on purpose. Most likely he is, because he's a piece of human shit. But Tucker Carlson is, it almost seems as though he's incapable of speaking in a way that isn't somehow like bad faith in a way. Like he's operating in a way that's just dishonest. He's operating in a dishonest way. And it's because he's a dishonest person.
People use language to distort the events of that day. Intentionally.
Also, keep in mind what he's doing is he's bringing up a point about people using language to distort the events. But what Ted Cruz said was not distorting the events.
Insurrection. Coup.
Of course it
terrorism.
Was an insurrection. Saying it's an insurrection is a political term. It's a lie. I've repeatedly denounced it. And when it comes to, look, I was focusing on what I normally say. That what you aired was a little 15-second snippet. What I normally say is violence is wrong, peaceful protest is right. If you engage in violence, you should be prosecuted. If you're speaking, you have a right to speak. I say that all the time.
Well,
I
and I agree.
In that snippet.
So who's Ray Epps, by the way, since you are a senator? Like, he and this other guy are clearly encouraging the crowd to commit crimes. Neither one has been arrested or charged. What is that, do you think?
So I think that is a very good question. I don't know who Ray Epps is. I've seen that video multiple times. It's disturbing. He's clearly urging the crowd to violate the law. When you see the crowd start chanting Fed.
All right, hold on. So this is what they're talking about. Ray Epps, viral video shows ex-Marine urging January 6th crowd to storm the Capitol. This dude's such a fucking clown. And listen to Ted CUCK, man. I thought maybe we were going to get some Ted Chad, but no. Instead, we got nothing but Ted CUCK. He's just bowing quickly. You're right, Tucker. I was wrong. Tucker, you're right. Hey, can I maybe come over tonight? How would you feel about it? You can drop your pants. I'll get on my knees. Tucker, please. You're right, my love.
Fed. For him to appear on the FBI's most wanted list and come off, it certainly suggests he was working for the FBI. That's not conclusive, but that's the obvious implication. And the Attorney General and the Department of Justice won't answer the question. Tucker, I can tell you, I joined with a number of other senators trying to get the Biden DOJ to answer the question why so many January 6 prisoners are in solitary confinement, why they're being treated so much worse than the Antifa rioters and the people who committed firebombing and a year of riots across the country. And this Biden DOJ.
And now we have like a nice solid couple minutes here of Ted Cruz just desperately trying to save his image from an optics perspective. Look, conservatives, listen. Hey, all you half-drunk boomers watching right now, listen. I'm Antifa. I said it. Bzz. Wake up. Look, I'm still going.
DOJ won't go after them. But let me also make a quick point, Tucker. Remember, while thousands of people were standing up to defend this country on January 6th, at that exact moment, I was standing on the Senate floor objecting to the election results, demanding that we impanel an election commission to consider.
Look, guys, I'm a conspiracy theorist just like you.
Evidence of voter fraud, and I brought together 11 senators to join me in supporting getting to the bottom of that. So, of course, it would be ridiculous for me to be saying that the people standing up and protesting to follow the law were somehow terrorists. I was talking about people who commit violence against cops, and you and I both agree, if you commit...
Why does Tucker Carlson just have this resting Muppet face? Like, he looks like a Dr. Seuss character. Look at Tucker's face. It's resting bitch face. That's not resting bitch face. That's just resting ugly face.
Violence against cops, you should go to jail.
Yeah, but you're not a terrorist. You know, you're not. You're a guy who assaulted a cop. Okay, so there's a legal difference, as you well know, better than I do, since you were actually in the running for the Supreme Court. And there's a moral difference between a guy.
But Tucker, the reason I use that word is for a decade.
So Ted is kind of backing himself into a corner here by saying, I was actually calling the people that beat up the police officer specifically. No, the people that engaged in violence and raided the Capitol and actually inflicted damage to both property, government property, and to the people within the building, and had an intent to commit more harm. Those people were acting as domestic terrorists. That's what Ted Cruz is trying to say. Because Tucker's technically right that you're not necessarily a terrorist if you beat up a cop. So Ted is kind of backing himself into a corner that he doesn't need to even be in.
Spoken out vocally against your exchange you just had. They want to paint us as Nazis. Yes,
I know, it's scary.
That is what they're trying to do. And look, I'm the one leading the fight in the Senate against this garbage. And it's what I have been doing, and it's what I'll continue doing.
Well, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you very much, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. Thanks.
Yeah, that probably looks the most alike. All right, let me grab some water, and then I have someone here that wants to talk, so. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.